At the same time, while this is happening, Michael Wolff, is it Michael Wolff that's suing Melania for $1 billion?
Yes.
Saying the fact that she was threatening to sue. So Michael Wolff is getting into it. I think he just threatened with $1 billion suit over Epstein's related claims.
Because he was trying to say that she was like a honeypot or something like that. The guy's these people, these journalists that do this and authors, they're the lowest of the low scum of the earth. I've had to deal with some of these people in Washington. Terrible people. I had the Daily Beast, I think, do an article that had implied that Trump, the headline was, I think you pull up, Trump offers like GOP upcoming something, his bed. That was like literally the headline. I kid you not. Here, you can find it on here and then type in my name, Daily Beast. Like these people, and like, mind you, it wasn't even in context. I was pregnant on the plane. Yeah, look at that headline. Don't tell them, this is the headline. And I'm reading this, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like who writes this? Come to find out, the reporter had never reached out to our office. And so I addressed it directly. The story is that I was about to pop. I shouldn't even have been traveling on a plane, but I wanted to go help President Trump in Iowa. And I've been with Trump since 2016. So like, I was like, I'm in office now. He helped me get elected. I'm gonna go help him win. And I was probably like within the window of where you can go into labor when you're traveling. So like you have kids, that's a very scary window. So Trump had actually told me when we got on the plane, my husband was right there. He goes, we have like the medical team here. If anything happens, and he was joking too. He's like, if you go into labor on the plane, like you can name your son after me. And I was joking. I was like, I'll make the deal if that happens. Like 100. If I give birth on Trump Force One, like it's happening.
That would be classic.
Yeah, it's happening 100%. But like he was literally like, and you can read because they finally updated because I just nuked them in the press. But I'm like, you people, what they did to Melania with this type of headline, this is what they live for because that's the only way to maintain relevancy. But they're just scum of the earth. They're total scum of the earth. But yeah, read down my response. I basically called them out and was like, that's not what happened. And actually after that, if you click show more, I'm showing you the letter that Trump had sent me asking about Henry, my son. It's shortly thereafter, and I actually had posted a handwritten note where he was checking to make sure that the baby was okay after delivery of my son.
So was he disappointed that it wasn't Donald, it was Henry? Was he like...
Yeah, well, he knew. I named him after my dad, but...
I seldom respond on IC headlines. I don't give trash credibility. However, being that there's allegedly book coming out named Attacking President, His Marriage, or First Lady, frankly implying something distasteful about me, I'm responding. I'm very pregnant. I was very pregnant at the time, experiencing pre-eclampsia symptoms, but was not diagnosed. As soon as President boarded the plane, being the gentleman, the good person he is, he said, if I did not feel I could use a back room, he did that in a respectful way in front of my husband, of which we thanked him. He also assured me that they had a medical team. This was the most compassionate thing that we could have. See, this is when they lose so much credibility when things like this happen, because your husband's there. If your husband's there, something like this is being said, you look like a clown when they write stories like this.
Well, he didn't even reach out. So it was an effort to smear the president or to potentially force a wedge between the first lady and the president. They did this with so many times. And like, to Melania's credit, she's a class act. I mean,
I don't think they have the same level of credibility they had. I don't think the market reacts to it the way they did before.
Back to what you were saying, people don't trust the press because they realize that a lot of these people are not legitimate journalists. They don't care about the truth. And I can tell now that I'm in office, when I see an article in the press, I know instantly when it's a hit piece. I know when the story's been planted. I'm like putting the connections together, and it's sad that I have to do that because I know, because I've been victim of it. I also had this happen to me when I first got elected. I had barely been sworn into office, and I had this reporter calling around from the Washington Post. Actually, this will be interesting because as a result of this, Time Magazine did their own investigation, realized, surprise, surprise, I was telling the truth, and named me the next 100 most influential in the world. So that was a silver lining. But the Washington Post had...
this is when? This is what you were saying?
This was in 2022 when I first got elected.
Okay.
So the Washington Post tries to write this hit piece about me, taking everything about my life, like literally my entire life story, and trying to paint me as what they were basically calling me was the female George Santos. And by the way, George Santos is not a perfect man, but he is by far not the worst we have in Congress. So like, that's a separate conversation. But basically trying to live, like, look at this. They just like take my entire background. They say, her embrace of her Hispanic heritage, which we're going to get into that because I'm over 50%, Mexican, which is, I'm not Mexican enough. Was Barack Obama not black enough for you either? I mean, like, what are we going to do percentages now? But like, just completely interviews people.
But don't forget, Elizabeth Warren is American.
She's Native American.
She's
like 100%,
Don't call it out.
Don't call it out.
It's true.
But like literally investigates relatives that I haven't talked to in 15 years that I have no connection to. Like literally just to try to like paint me out. So my mom is getting calls by this journalist. And my mom is an absolute hero. I mean, my mom, single mom, raised me like, yes, we were on welfare, but like puts herself through law school. Like she's just like an amazing person. But they asked her for proof. If my grandmother died HIV positive, of which my own mom had to provide a death certificate proving that, but they didn't report that in the article. They also didn't report in the article, and I actually had been given screenshots by my old roommates of them saying, hey, I had this reporter reach out, but they're not like reporting what I told them because it conflicted with the narrative that they're trying to paint about me, that I was making up my background, that I wasn't Hispanic enough, that I was lying about my background, all this shit that, they go into, by the way, my dad had raised me as a Messianic Jew, and then my mom had raised me Catholic, but for those people that can actually do their own research, a Messianic Jew is basically someone that believes in Jesus Christ. So like to say that all of a sudden I'm like somewhat making that up is just completely contrary to what the evidence is, that I had lied about my dad's incarceration record. And so when this dropped, I knew that they're going to, so I actually spent time to collect the receipts. And so I actually had a DOJ report of my dad's arrest record. I had all this stuff that directly contradicted this article. They even printed that I was a registered Democrat in the state of Washington, which was like arguably provably false. So they issued the retractions. And then after that, they're like, well, we can't say that your dad didn't go to prison because jail and prison are different. And I'm like, I literally, like, here's the incarceration record. Like, I'm not lying about this. So after all of that, I give all of this information to Time Magazine. And so they got roasted over this. And then when Time Magazine did their deep dive, they did, I think it was like 20-something hours. And you can type it in next 100. And yeah, that's what happens when you tell the truth. So it worked out in my favor.
But to me, who cares? Like, who cares?
But the point,
whether
the reason,
your grandmother, whether your father, like what are they trying to imply? Like
they were trying to imply and paint me out as a liar to limit or potentially hinder my credibility in being able to, I think, reach young people. Because I think that there's this special, I think, thing that happens when you have younger people engaged in politics. They're more charismatic, there's more energy. And I think that they saw me specifically because I had worked with Turning Point, because I had come up through as an activist, as an effective leader. So they initially, like, of all the members of Congress, and we have a lot of dirtbags in Congress, and you're seeing that flushing out right now. Mm-hmm. But of all the members of Congress, they specifically took the time to try to go after that. And what was interesting is the reason I was even tipped off on this article is I had a supervisor, and as a vet, you're going to get pissed off about this, okay? My first rating supervisor, really, contacts me and says, hey, I was contacted by a journalist at the New York Times asking about if I had any dirt on you when you were enlisted. And I said, how the hell did the New York Times get my rating supervisor from when I was in the military? Someone at the Department of Veteran Affairs had leaked them my EPR, so your enlisted performance, my records to the New York Times. And this happened when I first ran, so they had that. And so they had contacted my supervisor, who he, by the way, was deployed at this time. He was overseas as a contractor. So I knew that this was coming, but the New York Times saw that it also wasn't credible, and so they sent it to the Washington Post instead. And then this dumbass at the Washington Post put their credibility, which I'm glad they did because they look like a moron now, but...
Wait, so New York Times
they were the crux of it.
Doesn't see it as credible. They give it to WAPO. So
they saw it as a defamation liability. And so
then
they
why would they give it to WAPO?
Because WAPO at the time, up until really recently, was just another mouthpiece for these left-wings. Yeah. And what was interesting is I actually went, when this happened, to House leadership, and I said, hey, I think that we have a leak problem out of the DOD or the VA, but this was still under Biden. And I think at first they're like, whatever. Like, it sounds like you had a hit piece written about you, right? Like, how do they know my supervisor's not making it up? Well, it came out that the Democrats actually had an opposition firm that was posing as, or somehow working with the Department of Veteran Affairs, and had obtained the service records of GOP members of Congress that had served in the military. And they actually got sued over it. And it wasn't just me, it was there was a woman who was running somewhere on the East Coast. She had been raped, and they leaked that about her and smeared her with it. She ended up losing her election over it. but she was running as a Republican. I'm not even kidding. So this is the type of shit when people don't want to run for office. They don't want to deal with this. But it's like, if you don't run for office, then we get a lot of these sociopaths in there that are literally doing nothing or running on one thing, and then, you know, they're making 600% on their stock trades. We'll get to that too. So yeah, it's a massive problem. So you have to kind of just understand that when you do it, don't do it long term, because if you stay there for too long, you become everything that you hate. But you do it to where you can then raise up other people, and then you pass the torch.
Yeah, it's interesting you're saying this. Like today, I have a meeting with a guy that asked me for my DD-214. So my EA messages me and says, don't forget, Pat, you got to bring your DD-214. So I went back. I had to go this morning. I'm like, where is I'm literally pulling up my files. But for them to go to someone on the inside to get that information. So by the way, if they give it to New York Times, if New York Times gives it to WAPO, did WAPO get a defamation lawsuit from you, or no? You didn't do anything with them?
No, because what I was advised is that basically they will drain me. So it's not like I can use the House of Representatives to sue the Washington Post. The Washington Post has way more money than I do as a member of Congress. So I'm not going to be able to sue them and use my campaign funds to do it. And so at that point in time, you have to just fight it out. And so thank goodness at that time, Elon had actually purchased X, because when I first ran for office, I was one of the few people, I think it was like me, Laura Loomer, and a few others, that had sued X. I was running, or at the time Twitter, I was running for office at that point in time, and they were suppressing my reach, my engagement. I was being suppressed on Facebook. I was being suppressed on pretty much every media outlet, social media outlet, and I was using my social media to fundraise my campaign. So I was funded by those $20 and $30 donations, as opposed to a lot of the special interest money in Washington. So they were tipping the scales, and we know that they did this in the 2020 election with Mark Zuckerberg, who he's still, I'm glad that he sees the writing on the wall, but he's still, him, Jack Dorsey, all those guys.
$400 million.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's insane. And then, of course, in my investigations, we actually found out when I was on oversight, you can actually play this clip. It's the Rep Luna interviews Yoel Roth. And I actually found out that Twitter at the time was engaged with Meta, YouTube, for using a private cloud server to communicate, operating with the Department of Homeland Security and CISA, which is supposed to be set up to monitor domestic terrorists. And they're actually using it to suppress information pertaining to the January 6th, when President Trump called for peace. They actually had suppressed that information and were actually flagging people essentially as domestic terrorists. So the whole thing was crazy. Type in Yoel Roth, Y-O-E-L. Type in CISA or DHS. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is this my personal? Oh, is this? Try Rep Luna. Yeah, try Rep Luna. Okay. Saw my No Kings troll.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, with the crown on.
Where's it at?
Is it a video?
It's a video. We nuked Yoel Roth. I mean, this is. Are you spelling his name correct?
Yoelroth.
Yeah,
correct?
I think. Oh, that's you should pull up that one real quick if you want to talk about an Epstein portrait. That's my hand portrait. I said, don't show this to the Washington Post. They might think that you're a sex trafficker.
Please don't show this to the Wall Street Journal. It's a hand sketch. They may think you're so funny.
That wasn't so my hand sketch. I ripped it off.
That's you? Well, great job. After 2 years of working on this, we have finally pulled it off. And let me tell you what it is. Every time we do the Vol conference, if you've attended, you know this. I stand up and I speak for probably 45 hours is what I do at the Vol conference. And I love it. I love being around the guys. I love it. But I wear the Ferragamo shoes when I do this. Or I wear some kind of dress shoes. Eventually, for the last 25 years, I've always been on stage walking. I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of it. I want a shoe that I'm comfortable wearing. And here's what I love. I don't like shoes that are so heavy. That's a dumbbell. You can use it as a weapon. I don't want that. Like the Xenia, you carry it. I have so many of them, but they're so heavy. Like you can literally curl the Xenia, the shoes, and you'll get a pump within 30 reps. And I wanted the combination of the Hoka, the On Cloud, the Super Foam, because there's a big thing going on right now with the Super Foam where the bottom of the shoe, you wear it. You know which ones I'm talking about, the On Cloud or the Hokas, right? They're so comfortable. And I said, what if we take luxury and then combine it with the super comfort? What would that look like? And let's build it in Italy. So what do? We went to Italy. We designed the shoe in Florida. We made the shoe in Italy in five of the factories. We went back and forth God knows how many times. And by the way, the shoes we're about to launch and introduce to you right now, where you're going to see the video for the first time, I've been wearing those shoes for the last 22 days straight. I'm wearing them right now. I literally wear it with suits. I wore it yesterday when we went to lunch. I wear it every single day. It's the most comfortable shoes I have, yet it's authentic Italian leather. Rob, if you don't mind playing the video, go for it. Here's the video of the latest shoe, the FLBs. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. Boom. There you go. Designed in Florida, 100% made in Italy. 50 hands touch each shoe that was made. And here's what's unique about it. I want to kind of show this to everybody that knows this. And I've worn pretty much every one of these shoes. So if you compare this, the Italian leather, of course, it's made in Italy. It's not assembled, made in China, assembled in Italy, 100% made in Italy, assembled in Italy. It's FLBs, Berlutis, which are $18.40, Ferragamos are $8.95, Zennias are $11.90, and Gucci's are $9.50. Leather premium lining, all of them except for Gucci. Laceless feature, it's the FLBs, the Berlutis, you have laces, Ferragamos laceless, and then you have also the Zennias, and then the Gucci's have the laces. I don't want to wake up in the morning, put laces on. I want to get out the house. Took me 3 seconds to put my shoes on today. Craftsman, 5 different Italian factories all made this shoe. Berlutis are the same as us, as well as FLB. But the only shoe, these trainers, the only one in the world today, according to the factories that told me this in Italy, that has the super foam, the only one that has the same super foam used in the On Clouds and the Hokas, it's the FLBs, and they're officially out, and you can place the order. Here's a challenge. We only have 1,000 of these pairs. And when you say 1,000 of these pairs, they start from size, I believe, is it 8? It goes 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, 12, 13. Those are the sizes that we have. And the shoes that you can get today, the colors, you have access to, Rob, if you can go back there, you can have access to those browns, which is absolutely beautiful. And by the way, the brown on the bottom, the stitching on the side is a left stitching. If you can change the picture, and on the bottom it says the future looks bright. Look at the white lines on the side. It's beautiful. The only ones we have right now that you can get sent out today are the black and the browns. If you do want the white to pre-order, I would highly recommend you do so. They're going to come out the second week of December. So the white and the navy blue comes out the second week of December. The browns and the blacks are available. If you believe the future looks bright as much as we do, go place the order. There's nothing like sitting in the boardroom with your trainers and you put your feet over your knee and people look at the bottom of your shoe and it says future looks bright. That's how you get deals done. All right, so they're out. I'm excited to announce it, and I'm very happy for people to go sport it. When you get them, take pictures, send it our way. We're going to show all these shoes, all the pictures that are being taken. I already got a bunch of them sent to me on Instagram. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. It's all over the website. Maybe buy it for your husband, buy it for your brother, buy it for your coworkers, buy it for your best salespeople if you want to let them know the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.